Paul McGloin joins us here at the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire Service. Paul, we're talking about the East Coast Sandhogs. We've got some young men we're going to get to. Let's first talk about it's been challenging with COVID as far as in the baseball world. Talk a little bit about how things are going for you for the past year. It's been tough for everybody. You're hoping that we get a little momentum here and we can continue things, but I'm sure you've had some business at least going and getting some kids some looks and doing it in a safe way.
Yeah, it's I guess to put it in a nutshell, the two thoughts that come to mind are nothing in your coaching experience or your playing experience or anything to just really prepare you for what transpired, and you weren't really sure how to go about it or how to do it. And then the second part became, it was the most difficult and still is recruiting climate I've ever had to deal with, whether it be as myself coaching college baseball or now on the other side of the table doing academy and travel ball. And with that being said, it just became a situation where we had to videotape everything and just send as much video as we possibly could to college coaches, because unfortunately the majority of college coaches weren't allowed out to the games this past year.
Yeah, I believe there's still some rules intact with Division Ones up until June, and people are saying at all different levels that not sure about whether it's a 2022, 2023, different classes have been affected. I guess as anything else, all you can do is control what you can control. As you said, get some people behind you, put together some good film, and then when it's time to get out there, compete, hopefully turn some heads.
Yeah, I mean, I always say the experience, and you and I have talked about this, I think, in the past. My youngest brother, going on to college football and playing professional football, I used to say, in football, you can get an offer off tape. They can watch you on tape and offer somebody. In baseball, it's not the case. They look at the tape to see whether or not you stink. And then it's like, all right, well, if this kid's good enough, let's go see him. And then once they go see you, then the offer will come. So it became difficult because a lot of coaches, and I don't blame them, they didn't want to pull the trigger on kids. They wanted to wait. They wanted to see, could we get out there to see them? And then some were actually put in a position of, actually signing kids without seeing them in person, just seeing a ton of video. And then at the same time, I don't envy their position because of the NCAA, allowing athletes to come back and, the transfer portal. And it just really has created a backlog at the college level and has greatly affected the 21, 22. And now we're seeing it carry into the 23 class.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting the way that all plays out. We have some guys that we're going to talk about today, and some guys that are local here, Tunkhannock, Valley View, Schuylkill Haven, well represented across the Schuylkill League, the Wyoming Valley Conference, and the Lackawanna Conference. Let's first talk about Tommy Sheridan out of Tunkhannock. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, first off, they're three kids. Like most of our kids, they're like family. I love them to death. There's nothing I wouldn't do for them. They're just exceptional young men. They're all smart kids. They're all exceptional students. They're all gentlemen, and they're all good baseball players. They all play hard. Like you mentioned, we kind of have a broad scope here of where they're from, where they play. Adam is at Valley View High School. He's a 2021 graduate. He's going to be continuing his academic and athletic career at Wilkes University.
Then go ahead.
Sorry. If you want me to go on to the other ones.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Then we have Jake House, who's also a 21 graduate, goes to Schuylkill Haven. Adam was an infielder on the Sandhogs this past year. He's graduated out. Jake was a two-way guy for us, left-handed pitcher / outfielder. He's going to be going to Division II Mansfield University on a scholarship. And then we have Tommy Sheridan, who's a 22 graduate, and he's at Tunkhannock High School. Even though he's lists himself primarily as a catcher, he can pretty much play any position on the field. He also just hit 91 the other day off the mound, and he's probably going to be getting some Division I offers fairly soon. So I like the fact that we have kids from different conferences, different high schools, Division I, Division II, and Division III athletes. Kind of show you that we have players fitting in at all levels. They're just great young men, and I'm very proud of them.
Let's talk about the East Coast Sandhogs as far as what you're getting quality-wise with high school players, number-wise with pitchers. Like, is there a golden number with pitching that, college coaches or scouts like to see? Say, hey, this kid's throwing 90. Is there a number that they want to see to kind of get you to different places?
I always say that coaches and scouts fall in love with two things: the radar gun and the stopwatch. And the more things that are measurable, the more tools you can exhibit, the more they like you. So to answer your question, as far as the magic number goes, yeah, it's around 90. If you were to ask me to ballpark it, I'd like to say that they want a projectable right-hander who's 90, 92, with a good second pitch and developing a third pitch. Maybe some nice size to him, something that can fill out. Left-handed pitcher, you get that kid in the mid-80s with a plus changeup, and he can hold that runner on first. Somebody's going to give him a shot too. So, traditionally over the last 6-7 years with the Sandhogs, we'll have kids that, are probably 4 or 5 guys every year that are 90, 92, that are right-handed, and then our left-handers kind of fall into that latter category I just mentioned.
As far as travel-wise with the East Coast Sandhogs, you guys have a full schedule, and you and I have talked about this in the past. I guess it could be up to like 65 games when the summer hits, but talk about the different places you'll travel. It'll be a very busy schedule, hopefully, this year for you and your team.
I try to be optimistic, so I didn't really say this to the guys, but I was worried. I was concerned about last year because I had no idea where this was going to go. We had as we know, we still continue to this day have a medical issue that's become political, and you really didn't know what we had going into it. So we did a Zoom meeting with the parents and just flat out asked them, what do you guys want to do? Certain states were allowing you to play last June, certain states weren't. All types of precautionary measures put in place, and unbelievably, unanimously, all the parents said, no, we want to play. Our players had their spring season taken away. We want to play. So we, for lack of a better term, became baseball nomads in June, because you couldn't play in PA, but you could play in Ohio. You couldn't play in New York, you could play in Virginia. So we had our first 4 tournaments canceled, and we replaced them by going to states that allowed you to play. And we ended up we had a 3-week break in August. We went from June to October, and we ended up playing 65 games in 7 states. And this year, we'll look at PA, New York, New Jersey, Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. So we'll start when high school concludes. Our rule is you don't come to us until your high school season's over. So we hope the high school team does well and keep playing until that's over. Once that's over, we start up. And our first tournament, God willing, will be the second weekend of June. And then we just get rolling.
As far as if people want to check out Electric City Baseball and Softball Academy, tell us a little bit more as far as, hey, got a kid who's 11 years old, we got a kid who's 8 years old, and they're looking to get, some practice time, some one-on-ones, different things like that. What would a mom or dad do right now?
We, again, put in a lot of precautionary measures by cleaning the facility. It's an old building, so it's really, you do the best you can do. But wear masks, hand sanitizer, things like that. And they could just reach out to us by visiting our website, electriccitybaseball.com. And our phone number is 570-955-0471. But again, we kind of run them separately. Believe it or not, John, the academy has been around, 12 years, 13 years, right. And it's an LLC. The East Coast Sandhogs technically is a nonprofit, and we have kids from, we have a team that's 8U, believe it or not, and various levels up to our 2 17 teams. So we have tryouts for that. It just kind of seems that the younger you go, the more local our players are. But the older we go, we have open tryouts. The more often we have kids drive from 3, 4, 5 hours away to a tryout. And we always try to give preference to the local kids first, and then kind of buffer that the talent of the surrounding areas.
Well, McGloin, always a pleasure to talk with you about the East Coast Sandhogs and what you're doing there with Electric City as well as far as the Baseball Academy. Thank you.
Thank you.